Okay, we finally got him in the studio. The flyweight, Fight Star flyweight champion, Muhidin Abubakar. Muhidin, thanks for finally doing this. We've danced around for a few years trying to get an interview with you.
Yeah, it's just things have always come up and whatnot, and yeah, nice to finally meet in person.
Yeah. You was I think the first time we spoke was probably around the finals of the Cage Warriors Academy Grand Prix.
Wow.
And yeah, and I think 'cause I was trying to get an interview with you at that point, and I think you was heading off abroad to train not long after or something. I remember there was something we missed each other a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay, I don't even remember. That was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
There's so much has happened since then.
But but no, good to finally have you in the studio, mate. Really been looking forward to this. Just want to go back to your background. Like, where are you from?
Born in Ilford, moved to Newham when I was about 10. So majority of my life more in Newham, and obviously as I've been older, so more of your life like really kind of takes its way.
Yeah.
When I was younger, just a kid, innit?
Yeah. So always an East Londoner.
Yeah. Born and bred.
What was it like for you growing up in East London?
Growing up in East London is like just growing up like everyone, I guess. There's the good, the bad, the influences, the temptations. You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, East London's got its, it's got very few success stories, I'd say. There's not really too many guys who you hear, well, from Newham at least, I could say. Yeah. You don't hear too many guys that go and do something, so just trying to do something positive.
Yeah. And was you always into sports, or was you always athletic?
I used to play football.
Yeah.
Till I was about 13, 14, and then when I started taking my training a bit seriously and I had my first competition, I kind of just put football aside and just started training. And I just said, yeah, I'm just go.
Yeah. So you was
doing basket basically.
You was doing martial arts and football all at the same time. Was that when you?
I started. Obviously, I was playing football since I was a kid, whatever, and then martial arts. I started when I was about 10 or 11. I just dabbled into it, and then when I was about 13, 14, I started getting more serious with it. And then when I competed for the first time, that was when I was like, I felt like I found a different kind of passion for it. You know what I mean? And that's when I really started to really enjoy it. And that's when I started to think, yeah, this is something I want to do. And I literally just starstruck. I just went to the side.
Where did you? What martial arts did you first start training in?
The first ever martial arts I started in was karate.
Right.
Yeah, from about 10, 11.
Yeah. Was that local? Was that in like Ilford or?
No, I started 10, 11. So by this time I had already moved to Newham. Yeah. So yeah, this is just a local club in Newham, basically.
Yeah. And when do you start exploring? Oh, sorry. First, did you compete in karate, or was this like was you training?
So I didn't compete in karate rules, so to speak. But while I was training karate, I did compete. So when I was about 13, 14, we would go to like these couple like full contact kickboxing kind of fights and stuff. It would be like a few of them would be like with a gi, and then but you're still fighting almost like kickboxing rules on the mats and basically full contact pretty much. Yeah.
So
like a hybrid kind of
hybrid
style,
rules, yeah. And then what kind of leads you into mixed martial arts? Do you start training in other disciplines first, or do you directly get involved with MMA?
So when I was training karate, like we'd dabble into grappling a little bit. My coach would show a little bit of grappling and whatnot. And then when I was about 14, a good friend of mine, Abdullah, who has passed away this year, but one day I was just play fighting with him, and then he said to me, "Oh, like you should come to my MMA gym." And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "You should come try it out." Boom, boom. I've gone there, and I just literally just got hooked from the first day, and that's when I started training MMA a lot. Yeah. So I was about 14, I'd say.
And what gym was that?
This was at 3-on-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So where was that at that time? Is that
Manor Park?
Manor Park. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you compete? When you started competing later on, but obviously we'll come back to that. But was you competing for a 313, or was that just where your introduction was?
Yeah. Yeah, that was more my introduction. At the time, they didn't have too much like competitive stuff going on. So by the time I was about 15, 16, I wanted to compete more. So yeah, that was more my introduction, I'd say, to kind of to MMA and whatnot, full contact sports, you could say.
What was your first impressions like walking into like an MMA gym? Now you're seeing everything put together, like the grappling, the striking, everything rolled into one. What was your first thoughts when you're looking at this and training in it?
Honestly, me personally, like, I'm just naturally like a confident person, so it wasn't really, I know for a lot of people it could be daunting, maybe because I trained before that, maybe that's why I didn't feel like that. But when I went there, it was nothing uncomfortable. Obviously, I'd done a bit of striking with my karate and then dabbled into grappling. And then also the fact that there wasn't too many people my age doing it anyway, so the people that were my age, I could probably hold up, if not be more, like a bit more advanced than most people. So you gotta remember, this is like 10, 11 years ago. MMA wasn't what it is now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So were you following it at that point? Was you aware of like, you know, the UFC, Pride and the Strikeforce, or was this like just an eye opener for you?
I remember, I don't know if this was before I started training MMA or early days in my MMA. I remember I was on YouTube, and you know how you just click one thing and it goes to another. I was watching like something with WWE, and then I've clicked Brock Lesnar, like it's come from Brock Lesnar, and the next thing you know, I'm watching Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir. Yeah, like it was just mad. Literally watching WWE, Hell in a Cell, boom, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, then Brock Lesnar getting knee barred by Frank Mir, and then I'm just clicking and I'm just going through, and next thing you know, I've spent a couple hours on the laptop and I've basically just like, I've learned about the heavyweight division. So then I start looking at Frank Mir, then I see Brock Lesnar. I see Brock Lesnar with a belt at one point. I see Frank Mir with a belt. Then I'm seeing Junior Dos Santos. Then I'm saying, who's the champion now? You know, it's like, so I basically just, that one day I got a little introduction to the heavyweight division of the UFC. But I was still like ignorant to everything and whatnot. Because I remember, like, I don't know if this was before I started training or as I started training. I remember one guy was like, oh, what's the difference between MMA and UFC? I was like, I said this, I was like, UFC's in the cage, MMA's in the ring. So even me, I didn't know at this point, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I just started slowly, you know what I mean, getting into it and whatnot. And yeah, like, that's literally how I kind of got into, how I started to know what UFC was.
Like, so you later start competing in 2017 with your
MMA,
MMA, your amateur career. Before that, is that under ESK? Is that when you?
When I started MMA, yeah, from my first MMA fight.
Yeah. So how did you hook up with that team and?
What was I? Before I started fighting MMA, I was already at ESKF and I was fighting kickboxing and K1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was competing in that, and then by the same time I was still training grappling and whatnot, but I was just training strike. No, I was training pretty much everything, but I was only competing in kickboxing and K1 and striking rules. And then after a while, like kind of just, it was like eventually I knew I was going to fight MMA and that was the plan. But I just, you know, kind of went with what my coach was saying, and I just went like that from striking to MMA.
Yeah. So how was that competing in, because I knew I had, this is a while ago though, I remember I'd watched something, I've tried to find it recently, but I remember seeing something of you competing in like K1. When did you, what attracted you to that? Was that again to start sharpen all your tools, or was that something you was into?
Honestly, like when I finished school and I was like looking for a competitive gym and whatnot, it's like I just wanted to fight. So I just said to my coach one day, I just want to fight. And it's like, I think, so I was literally just wanting to fight. Whatever I would have gotten, I was just ready. I just wanted to get that competitiveness going, and I wanted to keep on going and kind of like get the ball rolling, as you say. Get the ball rolling and just, you know, progress in terms of competition. And that's what kind of just started from that, and it just went from there.
And how did you do competing in?
I did alright. Won a few titles. You know, fought a lot of good guys. Yeah, I think not as good as I've done in MMA, but
yeah, you did really well.
But yeah, I did alright.
So you start competing in 2017, amateur MMA, and that's you start your career under the Lion Fighting Championship banner. You make your debut versus Neil Curran, which is a second round TKO. What do you remember about like making your debut in like MMA in that? It's a great show too.
Yeah.
The way it's really put together on the production. What do you remember about that experience?
I was excited, you know what I mean? It's like, I wanted to fight MMA for so long. Since I was like 14, it was just in the back of my head. Eventually I'm going to fight MMA and eventually I'm going to fight in the UFC. I had all these kind of plans and goals. And so for me to finally go there, I was excited. I was very excited, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people are excited as well. They used to always say like, oh, when are you going to fight MMA? When are you going to fight MMA? And then finally the day has come. Yeah, I remember I just wanted to enjoy it, and like I did enjoy it because it was something different for me. So I wasn't really too nervous. I kind of just embraced it all, and yeah, I just had fun.
Yeah.